Well, good evening, Throttle Up Biker Bible Study. How we doing tonight? For those of you out there online that can't see, we have the doors and the windows open and all the fans running, and it feels good in here to me. I know some of you will be cold. We can always turn the heat on if we need to, or the air conditioner. What a great day, though. It was really nice outside. I wish I could have spent more time out there. But for those of you that didn't know, I was at a revival meeting last night that went really well. I want to try again to go tomorrow night and take Mom with me. But it reminds me that there's people out there that still don't have a place to call home to learn about this stuff. So we're out there advertising, putting the word out, and talking to people. Just like you guys did Saturday at the May Day Festival in Harriman. And I didn't call it Hooray for Harriman. That's still to come. That's this fall. Or, what's that? Oh, she's telling us that we have more events planned. Yay. I love it. I love the fact that we're being able to do stuff. You know why? Because, as you guys heard P.J. Willis say here a couple of weeks ago, gather, grow, and go. Gather them together, grow them in the faith, and go out and teach the world. That's what we're doing, and I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. So thank you all for your participation. We'll see y'all next week. Good night. Oh, we're not in Cleveland. Anyway, so we're going to get back into the book of Numbers. Going to be in chapter 8 and probably get into chapter 9 as well tonight. Remember, Numbers, even though it does start off, counting people, and we counted all the men, 20 and over for every tribe except Levi, and we counted every male a month and up in Levi. Well, now some of it's going to change again tonight. We'll see more about who does what and things like that. Let me open us up in a word of prayer, and then we'll jump right on into this. So, Heavenly Father, Lord God, we thank you again for another day, Father, that we can be upright and we can be reading in your word and we can be discussing and explaining what these words mean and how they apply to our lives. Father, thank you for the sunshine, Lord, and thank you for the sun that shines in our hearts. Father, we thank you again for everything that goes on here. In Jesus' name, amen. So chapter 8, verse 1 starts out like this. It says, Now the Lord spoke to Moses by himself, not with Aaron, saying, Speak to Aaron. Go tell your brother this, and say to him, When you set up the lamps, the 7 lamps shall light in front of the lampstand, or shall give light in front of the lampstand. What is he talking about? In the holy place, that is correct. And she's cheating in there. She's got notes, doesn't she? What are you saying, Vicki? Menorah is the right word. It's the menorah. Not the menorah, but the menorah. And it is a solid piece of gold hammered out into 7 candlestick arms. So when you see people that has this one with 9 arms, that's not a menorah. That's another word, starts with a B, I think it is. That's not manure. So, now this thing is almost 6 feet tall with all these little intricate flowers hammered out and these holders for the oil, right? What kind of oil would they use? Olive oil, that's right. So, it says, And Aaron did so. He set up its lamps in front of the lampstand as the Lord commanded Moses. You got to remember, inside this tent of meeting, there is no light. There is no skylights. There's no windows. The only light is these lamps. This one lamp with 7 flames. Okay? And this was the workmanship of the lampstand, hammered work of gold, from its base to its flowers. It's hammered work, according to the pattern that the Lord had shown Moses. So he made the lampstand. He told everybody, stand back, because it's hammer time. Right. Yeah, that would be bad. It was named that. Sorry. That was over. Verse 5. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, take the Levites from among the people of Israel and cleanse them. Okay, do you remember last week we talked about the Nazirite law? That was the people that wanted to be like the Levites. So they couldn't cut their hair, they couldn't shave their beards, that they had to stay, couldn't be in the room with dead people and all that, right? Okay, watch what he says here about the Levites. Take the Levites from among the people, Israel, and clean them. Cleanse them is what mine says. Thus you shall do to them to cleanse them. Sprinkle the water of purification upon them, and let them go with a razor all over their body, and wash their clothes and cleanse themselves. Now wait a minute. If the Nazirite law says you can't have a razor and you can't cut your hair, why are you telling the Levites, who you're trying to be like, to shave everything off? No, let's not do that. So, then let them take a bull from the herd and its grain offering of fine flour mixed with oil, and you shall take another bull from the herd for a sin offering, and you shall bring the Levites before the tent of meeting and assemble the whole congregation of the people of Israel. When you bring the Levites before the Lord, the people of Israel shall lay their hands on the Levites. One of the few times you'll see it in reverse. Usually it's the Levites, the priests, putting their hands on the people and on the animal. Now they're standing in the middle, and the people are putting their hands on them and on the animals. We'll see here in a second. It says, when you bring the Levites before the Lord, the people of Israel shall lay their hands on the Levites. And Aaron shall offer the Levites before the Lord as a wave offering. Right? Wave offering. From the people of Israel, and they may do the service of the Lord. Then the Levites shall lay their hands on the heads of the bulls, and you shall offer the one for a sin offering and the other for a burnt offering to the Lord, to make atonement for the Levites. And you shall set the Levites before Aaron and his sons, and shall offer them as a wave offering to the Lord. Remember, we went through all those different offerings and the different types, and we had the incense and the burnt and the sin and the wave, right? We had all that stuff. 14 then says this. Thus you shall separate the Levites from among the people of Israel, and the Levites shall be mine. Aren't all of the Israelites his? It's one of those things that's always confused me. Why does it say that one group will be mine? They're separated. What's the word for separated? The word sanctified. Yep, good job. I'll move my thumb now. Where am I? 14. Thus you shall separate the Levites from among the people of Israel, and the Levites shall be mine. Right, we said that. And after that, the Levites shall go in and serve at the tent of meeting, when you have cleansed them and offered them as a wave offering. Okay, I know what it means. It's the offering in front of the altar, but suddenly in my mind they're all. You got the whole room in here doing the wave now. That's too funny. And after that, the Levites shall go in and serve. Got that for the wave offering. For they are wholly given to me from among the people of Israel. Instead of all who opened the womb, the firstborn of all of Israel, I have taken them for myself. Do you have any idea what that's a reference to? Correct. Why? The Passover is about saving the firstborn children of all of Israel. God had already done that and wiped out all of the firstborn of the Egyptians, including the animals. Correct. Right. Now what's going to happen, see what happened was this, and when we get to Jesus, now here's how it applies to you. Jesus is God's firstborn son. He's also the substitution for the rest of us. Good point. Yep, for they are wholly given to me, right? Mm-hmm. Nothing better than a good MLT where the mutton is nice and lean. Sorry. I was quoting a movie line. Sorry. 17. Right, MLT instead of BLT. For all the firstborn among the people of Israel are mine, both of men and of beast. On the day I struck down the firstborn of the land of Egypt, I consecrated them for myself. Can't see. And I have taken the Levites instead of all the firstborn among the people of Israel. And I have given the Levites as a gift to Aaron and his sons from among the people of Israel, to do the service for the people of Israel at the tent of meeting, and to make atonement for the people of Israel, that there may be no plague among the people of Israel when the people of Israel come near the sanctuary. What plagues is this referring to? How many were there? There were 10 plagues. That's absolutely right. That's absolutely right. Including the boils, the frogs, the flies. All right, verse 20 then goes on to say this. Thus did Moses and Aaron and all the congregation of the people of Israel to the Levites, according to all that the Lord had commanded. Moses, concerning the Levites, the people of Israel did to them. And the Levites purified themselves from sin and washed their clothes. And Aaron offered them as a wave offering before the Lord. And Aaron made atonement for them to cleanse them. And after that, the Levites went in to do their service in the tent of meeting before Aaron and his sons, as the Lord had commanded Moses concerning the Levites, so they did to them. So this again is about being able to serve inside the tent of meeting. Okay? So we're cleansing them, we're consecrating them, we're giving all these offerings to the Lord for them, to keep them holy, to make them be able to do the service that they've already been called to do. Okay? So it's the rituals to do that. Then, as if it was easy enough just to get into this organization, now you got to get out. So the next section, instead in verse 23 says, And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, This applies to the Levites. From 25 years old and upward, they shall come and do duty in the service of the tent of meeting. Now, didn't we just read that they served as the priests from 30 to 50? Y'all remember that? We just talked about it about 2 weeks ago. Say that again. That's a perfect announcement. So what she's saying is they go to school, and what my brother in the back's saying, yeah, they got to go to preschool first. Yeah. Oh, preschool, not preschool. That's why I had him repeat it. See, that's what it sounded like. But yeah, the first 5 years is like they're apprentice priests. Okay? So they don't get to actually do the offerings and stuff. They have to watch. They have to learn. They have to, practice on the squirrel. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, they. What'd you say? Apprentice priest, right? But 2 princes are before you. Never mind. Let's not go there. Do what? 2 princes that adore you. Anyway, so this applies to the Levites from 25 and up. So they do this teaching. They learn. And from the age of 50 years, they shall withdraw from the duty of the service and serve no more. So once they 50, they retire. Now, I never can remember the word for the documents outside of the Bible associated with Levitical law. They don't get to go home and rest. They are the ones that are now out in the courtyard bringing people in. They can't go in the tent of meeting anymore. Yes, sir. I haven't read that in here yet. Well, it was 30 to 50. You're right. 30 to 50. Yeah, you're right. You're right. So 80 to 50 withdrawal. 26. They minister to the brothers in the tent of meeting by keeping guard, but they shall do no service. Thus shall you do to the Levites in assigning their duties. All right? Now, I know that not many of you are past the age of 50, so it's easy for me to say this. You know, those of us that are beyond 50, sure would be nice to be able to actually retire. I was trying to be nice. There's only 2 in here that's not. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah. All right, so chapter 9, we're going into this one. And the Lord spoke to Moses in the wilderness of Sinai, just in case you forgot where they were, in the first month of the 2nd year after they had come out of the land of Egypt. Saying, let the people of Israel keep the Passover at its appointed time. On the 4th day of this month, at twilight. What did I say? Oh, you know why? Because my eyes, I can't see the T-E-E in there. 14th day of the month. Very good, thank you. At twilight, you shall keep it as appointed time, according to all its... I got to use one eye. This is ridiculous. On the 14th day of this month, at twilight, you shall keep it at its appointed time, according to all its statutes and all its rules, you shall keep it. So Moses told the people of Israel that they should keep the Passover. And just so that you know, they still do to this day. Right? And they kept the Passover in the first month on the 14th day of the month at twilight in the wilderness of Sinai, according to all that the Lord commanded Moses. So the people of Israel did. Verse 6. 6. And there were certain men who were unclean through touching a dead body, so that they could not keep the Passover on that day. That'd be like your morticians, right? Come on. There it goes. On the Passover on that day, and they came before Moses and Aaron on that day, and those men said to him, Moses, we are unclean through the touching of a dead body. Why are we kept from bringing the Lord's offering at its appointed time among the people of Israel? And Moses said to them, wait, that I may hear what the Lord will command concerning you. So they have a concern for whatever reason they're doing what they're doing. According to the tradition now, they're unclean. They can't come and do Passover, right? Okay. So verse number 9 then says this. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the people of Israel, saying, if any of you or of your descendants is unclean through touching a dead body, or is on a long journey, he shall keep the Passover to the Lord. In the 2nd month, on the 14th day at twilight, they shall keep it. They shall eat it with unleavened bread and bitter herbs. They shall leave none of it until the morning, nor break any of its bones. According to all the statute for the Passover, they shall keep it. But if anyone who is clean and is not on a journey fails to keep the Passover, that person shall be cut off from his people, because he did not bring the Lord's offering at its appointed time. That man shall bear his sin. And if a stranger sojourns among you and would keep the Passover to the Lord according to the statute of the Passover, and according to its rule, so shall he do. You shall have one statute, both for the sojourner and for the native. Now let's stop right there. No, just for right now. No, no, no. No, no, no. I still got an hour. I'm good. Kidding. I'm just kidding. So what it's saying is, if it's Passover and there's a dead body, want me to scrape the dead bodies off your windshield? What are they to do, right? So I want you to think now, a couple of thousand years from them, to a person hanging on the cross that happened the night of Passover. Say it again. They had to hurry, hurry, hurry before 6 o'clock. They had to get him down. The other two probably weren't dead yet, but Jesus was dead. Why? Say it again. That's not what killed him, and that's not why he was dead. She said it right. We're talking about, he said because he was stabbed in the side. When he was stabbed in the side, what ran out was blood and water. It had already started to separate. He was already dead. I almost said gave up the ghost. His life ended, right? Now, I say the word wrong, but I always say, when he said tetelestai, it's actually tetelestai or something like that. Tetelestai is what I learned, and that's what I'm going to stay with. Anyway, he said it is finished. It is finished, meaning all of that is done. I'm done with my mission. Now y'all can do what you got to do, because they have to do it before 6 o'clock. They have to get him down, they have to prep him, and have to get him in a tomb. They didn't have a tomb yet. They hadn't hewn out any rock yet. Right. It's Joseph of Arimathea. Gave him the tomb. My brand new tomb, it's all ready to rock and roll. All ready for the rock to roll. I may have cracked myself up on that one. Right? But Jesus already had all of that planned out. And he ascended into heaven from that point, right? And the veil ripped, and the ground shook, and the day turned into night, and all that stuff happened so that they could get him down and get him in the tomb and not have to be unclean for Passover. Yes, sir. Right, which is yeah. Joseph of Arimathea knew that they needed to put him somewhere, so he offered his new tomb to them. Right. Right. Yes, ma'am. Which dude? I don't know if it ever goes back to that or not. I don't know. Well, now, we don't know what his relationship to God was. So he could have had a vision. He could have had, God may have come and talked to him. We don't know. It's not recorded. Not everything is recorded. If we knew, with what we know now, I wouldn't mind being in that one. Yeah. Just a weekend at Bernie's place, right? All right. So I just wanted to keep you in track of what is possible when you look back at the Old Testament. It always should make you think of what happened in Jesus' day and what happens to us, right? So I'll say this as easily as I can. What do we do? What should we do before every meal? Right. What do we usually open and close services with? And what do we open and close? Funeral services or celebration of life. Right. You understand? So what they're doing here by following all these statutes is where we get our thought of why we should do the things we do. Now, they had to do a whole lot more. Don't be bringing no ox in here, people. We don't need to do that no more. Unless it's on the grill. All right. So where am I? Yes. Pigeon. Pigeon. It's a bird. It's no. Am I on 9? 15. See, I lose my place. Oh yeah, I've got to talk about the cloud now. 15. On the day that the tabernacle was set up, the cloud covered the tabernacle, the tent of the testimony. And at evening it was over the tabernacle like the appearance of fire until morning. So it was always. The cloud covered it by day, and at the appearance of fire by night. Why? Go. The first part I'll give you an A for effort. Well, I'll give you 105 because the nighttime was both cases was to protect them from the enemies. They couldn't see them because the cloud covered them. The enemy couldn't see them through the cloud, and at night to lead their way, everything else was dark, so they couldn't be found. Right? You did good. It covers them, just like a whole fog sitting down over this valley. People up on the mountain couldn't see us. Yeah, yeah, and it led them where they needed to be. Yep. No, that's only when they're moving, not when they're set up. I just, it says on the day the tabernacle was set up, the cloud covered. I just read that. Okay. 16. Well, 16 says, so it was always the cloud covered it by day and appearance of the fire by night. Okay, 17. And whenever the cloud lifted from over the tent after the people of Israel set out, and in the place where the cloud settled down, there the people of Israel camped. At the command of the Lord, the people of Israel set out, and at the command of the Lord they camped. As long as the cloud rested over the tabernacle, they remained in camp. Correct. Even with, go ahead. The cloud would stay where it's at because people were supposed to stay there. But if some bonehead decides to go out, well, you're full of something. So, um, yeah. They would, I don't know the answer to that, but by looking at what it says, follow these statutes or else, the or else means they'd probably die or eaten by worms. Remember we talked about that. Okay. Yes, sir. Yeah, because what my brother off camera said was, it was the cloud a way that God kept them from knowing where they were. Paraphrased. And that's a possibility. Otherwise, that the uh, that the other half would say, "We passed that rock a while ago. We passed that rock a while ago." We passed that, Rock. Yes. Oh, had they ever seen it? No, they'd never. Right. As a matter of fact, I think it's in Deuteronomy, where it says, I can't remember exactly how it says it, but the outer bands of the armies touched it. Right. The herdsmen actually walked through. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. It covered everything. And how many people they got? Yeah, all them animals they got to keep safe so they can eat them or burn them or offer them. There's an animal, yeah. Yeah, you may go. Look, they just walked through a sea. I'll call it an ocean on dry land. They they don't see them. And the other part, like she said, this is a desert. How many people do you think's out in the desert? Oh, 2.5, 3 million. I knew what she meant. She's ox. Yeah, oxen. Where am I now? I've lost. 19. Even when the cloud continued over the tabernacle many days, the people of Israel kept the charge of the Lord and did not set out. They knew better than to go outside the cloud. You go outside the boundary and you're probably going to die. That's what we said, right? Sometimes the cloud was a few days over the tabernacle, and according to the command of the Lord, they remained in camp. Then according to the command of the Lord, they set out. So whenever the cloud picked up and started to move, everybody had to move. Right? That means you break down your tent, you take down your food, you get all your animals ready to go. The Levites have to go in, you pick up this pole, you pick up this piece of brass, you pick up and then Aaron and them have to go into the Holy of Holies and cover, right, the Ark of the Covenant, because nobody can see it, they can't touch it and all that stuff, and then move it out. So the only reason that they know when the transportation day was when the cloud started to move. So once it starts to move, you got to go. You got to do it right then. Yeah, exactly. Green light, red light. That's a perfect analogy. The journey through I've been through the desert. And sometimes the cloud remained from evening until morning. And when the cloud lifted in the morning, they set out. Or if it continued for a day and a night, when the cloud lifted, they set out. Whether it was 2 days or a month or a longer time, that the cloud continued over the tabernacle, abiding there, the people of Israel remained in camp and did not set out. But when they lifted, they set out. At the command of the Lord, they camped, and at the command of the Lord, they set out. I'm going to come back to that line. They kept the charge of the Lord at the command of the Lord by Moses. So, the hokey pokey? I used to be in a hokey pokey group, but then I turned myself around. So, and the command of the Lord they camped, and at the command of the Lord they set out. Listen, people, If we just did what God told us to do every day, we'd be a whole lot better. But we are boneheads. Yep. So, again, these are commands the Lord is giving through Moses and Aaron to the people of Israel. This is what you will do. Right? So they've set up the Levites, priesthood, told them when the dates were that they had to do their service, and what happens when they're 50, service is over. Now that reminds me of a Star Trek episode, right? Rob Reiner was on it. He was getting to that age, and he had to go turn himself in to die. But there was a whole series in the 70s that once you reached a certain age, you had to self-terminate. And I can't think of what that series was. That Logan's Run. That's exactly right. And also with the robots, Harrison Ford movie, Blade Runner. Yeah. So, okay, back on track. Ooh, shiny. It just went by. You missed it. So, any questions about this? How it applies to us? Jesus took the place of all of this, right? But we still can understand. What are you doing? What are you doing? Oh, the 12, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I did that quickly one day. Any questions about these? It seems like we're moving pretty fast through numbers. Supposed to be fast. All right. Well, if there's no questions, no more comments or discussions, then we shall. Yes, sir. Yes. What he said was, since it took them 40 years, doesn't it make sense that they spent a lot of time in the cloud? Yes. Yes, it does. All right. Well, then we'll go ahead and turn off the camera. Wait, she has a question. Because that's not the way that God commanded it. Yep. Judah is first. So we. Yep. Oh, you don't. You. I told you that night that we talked about this. Judah is the biggest one, so it's the foot of the cross. Okay. Well, her and I had this conversation privately, so. We all good then? We'll go ahead and turn off our camera and do our personal prayer, private prayer request. And we'll see you guys Sunday morning at 11. Don't forget we have the men's group from Recovery Soldiers Ministry out of Elizabethtown, Tennessee, and we will be having afterwards. Right? Right. And then Sunday afternoon we have scheduled Celebrate Recovery. We shall see. Right. And then next Wednesday we'll be back in here. No, we haven't even submitted the paperwork. So since we're still on the screen here, the question is, are we official Celebrate Recovery yet? No is the answer, and here's why. There are steps that have to be in place first. Once the steps got completed, we could fill out the paperwork. The steps got completed this week. So now we can complete the paperwork and send it in. From then, it's 90 days. that they do the interviews and stuff like that. So we're getting there. Like I said, it takes time. We cannot pull the rope that holds God. We can't. We have to wait for Him, or we'll be eaten by worms. Worms crawl out.